Dr. Veltara was having a quiet day at her medical station when the emergency call came in. Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence as the communication device buzzed loudly on her desk. The sound made her crystal shell vibrate slightly, which always annoyed her. She pressed the answer button with one of her thin, jointed fingers. The screen lit up with the face of a human male. His skin was pale, and his dark hair was cut short. He looked worried but not panicked. "Hello, this is Hyunwoo Kim from the colony ship New Busan," the human said. "We need a veterinarian right away. We have a family pet emergency." Veltara's optical sensors focused on the screen. She had treated many different species in her career, but human pets were always interesting. Humans kept the strangest creatures as companions. Last month, she had treated a human's pet spider that was bigger than her hand. The month before that, it was a snake that could have swallowed her whole arm. "What kind of emergency?" she asked. Her voice came out in clicks and whistles, but the translator made it sound normal to human ears. "It's hard to explain," Hyunwoo said. He rubbed his forehead with his hand. "Our family pet is making sounds we've never heard before. He's been growling for 3 hours straight. The family is really worried." Veltara made notes on her datapad. Growling usually meant pain or anger in most species. If the creature had been making the sounds for 3 hours, it could be serious. "What species is your pet?" she asked. "It's a Komodo dragon from Earth," Hyunwoo replied. "His name is Buster. He's usually very quiet and calm. But today he won't. Stop making these deep, scary sounds." Veltara's 4 eyes went wide. She knew about Komodo dragons. They were in her database as Class 7 predators. These creatures were massive, dangerous, and could kill things much larger than themselves. Why would humans keep such a beast as a pet? "A Komodo dragon?" she repeated. "Are you sure you need a veterinarian and not a military response team?" Hyunwoo looked confused. "Military? No. He's just our family pet. He lives with us on the ship. He's probably just not feeling well." Veltara felt her survival instincts kick in. Every part of her body wanted to refuse this call. But she was a doctor, and doctors helped when called, even if it meant going near a creature that could. "Eat her in 2 bites. I'll be there in 30 minutes, she said. "Please keep everyone away from the animal until I arrive." "Away from Buster?" Hyunwoo looked even more confused. "But he's in the family recreation room. The kids like to play near him." The connection ended before Veltara could respond. She sat in her chair staring at the blank screen. Humans let their children play near a Class 7 predator? What kind of insane species did that? She gathered her medical equipment quickly. Her emergency kit had everything she might need: scanners, medicine dispensers, and emergency containment devices. She also packed her personal shield generator. If the dragon tried to attack, she might have a few seconds to escape. The flight to the New Busan took 28 minutes. During the trip, Veltara reviewed everything she knew about Komodo dragons. They were from a planet called Earth. They grew up to 3 meters long and could weigh over 70 kilograms. They had poisonous saliva and could run faster than most humans. They ate large prey animals and sometimes other dragons. Why would any sane creature keep one as a pet? Her shuttle docked with the human colony ship without problems. The New Busan was a standard long-range vessel, designed to carry families to new worlds. The corridors were wide and bright, with artificial windows showing space views. Hyunwoo met her at the docking bay. He was taller than she expected, which made her feel even smaller. Most humans were much larger than her species. "Thank you for coming so quickly," he said. "Follow me. Buster is still making those sounds." As they walked through the ship, Veltara noticed human families in the hallways. Some had small children who stared at her with curious eyes. Others had teenagers who barely looked up from their electronic devices. Everyone seemed calm and normal. "How long have you had this dragon?" she asked as they walked. "Buster? About 5 years now," Hyunwoo replied. "Daeho found him as a baby on a colony world. He was all alone, so Daeho brought him home. He's been part of the family ever since." "Part of the family?" Veltara repeated. "Oh, yes. He has his own room, though he usually sleeps with Daeho and Sujin. He loves watching movies with us. And he's great with the kids." Veltara's crystal shell started to vibrate with stress. A 3-meter predator that slept with humans and played with their children? This was beyond her understanding of normal behavior. They reached the recreation room, and Hyunwoo pressed the door control. "Here we are," he said cheerfully. The door slid open, and Veltara heard it immediately. A deep, rumbling growl that seemed to shake the air around them. It was the sound of a massive predator, and every instinct in her body screamed at her to run. But then she saw the humans inside the room. They were sitting calmly on couches and chairs, reading books and talking quietly. In the center of the room, on a large, heated platform, lay the biggest reptile she had ever seen. Buster was enormous. His scales were dark green and brown, and his massive head was the size of Veltara's entire torso. His yellow eyes were half closed, and his mouth was slightly open. The growling sounds were coming from deep in his throat, a constant rumble that made the floor vibrate. Standing right next to the dragon, casually scratching behind its head, was a middle-aged human male. He had graying hair and kind eyes. He looked completely relaxed, as if he were petting a small, harmless creature. "You must be the doctor," the man said, looking up with a smile. "I'm Daeho Park. Thanks for coming. Buster's been making these sounds since lunch, and we wanted to make sure he's okay." Veltara stared in shock. The human was touching the predator, actually touching it, and the dragon seemed to be enjoying it. "He's been like this for 3 hours?" she managed to ask. "Yes," Daeho replied, continuing to scratch the dragon's head. "Usually he's much quieter after eating, but today he won't stop with the growling. We're a bit worried." The dragon's eyes opened fully and focused on Veltara. She froze completely. Those yellow eyes were the eyes of a killer, a creature that had evolved to hunt and kill. But there was no anger in them, no hunger, just a kind of sleepy contentment. Buster made another deep growling sound, and Veltara's legs almost gave out. But Daeho just chuckled. "Yeah, I know, boy," he said to the dragon. "You're trying to tell us something, aren't you?" Veltara realized that she was about to examine one of the most dangerous predators in known space, and the humans expected her to do it while they sat around drinking beverages and reading as if nothing unusual was happening. This was going to be the strangest house call of her career. Veltara stood frozen in the doorway, watching the massive dragon make its threatening sounds. Her medical scanner was shaking in her hands because she was trembling so much. Every few seconds, Buster would let out another deep growl that made her want to run back to her shuttle, but the humans in the room acted like nothing was wrong. A woman with long black hair walked over carrying a steaming cup. She had to be Sujin, Daeho's wife. She moved past the dragon without any fear at all. "Here's your coffee, honey," she said to Daeho. Then she looked at the dragon and shook her head. "Buster, you're being very loud today. What's gotten into you?" The dragon's yellow eyes followed her movement, but he just kept growling. Sujin actually reached down and patted his massive head like he was a small dog. Sujin Lee, she said, introducing herself to Veltara. Sorry about all the noise. He's not usually this vocal. Veltara tried to speak, but only managed a small clicking sound. The translator converted it to a confused squeak. Don't mind the doctor, Daiho said kindly. She's probably never seen a Komodo this big before. Buster's quite impressive, isn't he? Impressive wasn't the word Veltara would use. Terrifying fit better. The dragon was longer than her entire body and probably weighed 10 times as much. His claws were as long as her fingers, and she could see rows of sharp teeth when he opened his mouth to growl. A teenage boy walked into the room, carrying what looked like study materials. He glanced at the dragon and frowned. Dad, can you make... Buster, quiet down, the boy said. I'm trying to study for my biology test and he's being really loud. This had to be Taemin, their son. He was complaining about the dragon like it was a noisy neighbor, not a deadly predator. Sorry, son, Daiho replied. The doctor's here to figure out what's wrong with him. Taemin walked right up to the dragon and gently tapped its snout. Hey, Buster, keep it down, okay? Some of us have work to do. Veltara's 4 eyes nearly popped out of her head. The boy had just touched the predator's face. The most dangerous part of a Komodo dragon was its mouth, and this human child was treating it like a pet that needed gentle correction. Buster looked at the boy and made a softer growling sound, almost like he understood and was trying to be quieter. Thanks, buddy, Taemin said, then walked to a chair on the other side of the room. Veltara's scanner was beeping frantically. It was detecting her elevated stress levels and asking if she needed medical attention. She quickly turned off the alarm and tried to focus on her job. I need to examine the patient, she said, her voice shaking. Of course, Daiho said. He moved aside but stayed close to the dragon's head. Don't worry about Buster. He's very gentle, especially after a big meal. The mention of a meal made Veltara even more nervous. A well-fed predator was supposedly safer, but her scanner was still classifying the dragon as extremely dangerous. She took a small step forward, and Buster's eyes focused on her again. The growling continued, a deep rumble that she could feel in her chest. Her crystal shell was vibrating so much that it was making small tinkling sounds. He's curious about you, Sujin said helpfully. He doesn't see many non-humans. Curious. The dragon was curious about her. Veltara wondered if that was good or bad for her chances of survival. She activated her medical scanner and pointed it at the dragon from a safe distance. The device immediately started collecting data about Buster's vital signs. His heart rate was steady, his body temperature was elevated, and his digestive system was very active. When did he last eat? She asked. About 4 hours ago, Daiho replied. He had his usual lunch, 3 kilograms of processed protein, 3 kilograms. That was almost half of Veltara's body weight. No wonder the dragon looked satisfied. The scanner showed that Buster's internal organs were all working normally. His stomach was processing food, his heart was beating steadily, and his brain activity was calm. There were no signs of injury or illness. But the growling continued. Has he ever made sounds like this before? Veltara asked. Sometimes, Sujin said. Usually when he's really content, but never this loud or for this long. Content? The dragon was making threatening sounds because he was happy. A door on the far side of the room opened, and another man walked in. He was carrying a data pad and looked official. "How's our boy doing?" the newcomer asked. He had to be Young-Soo Kim, the ship's xenobiologist. "Still growling," Dae-ho replied. "The doctor's trying to figure out why." Young-Soo walked over to Veltara. "I'm Young-Soo, Hyun-woo's brother. I study alien life forms, including Earth animals. Maybe I can help explain Komodo behavior." Veltara was grateful for any help she could get. "Your scanner shows he's healthy, but the vocalizations are concerning." "Oh, the growling," Young-Soo said casually. "That's actually pretty normal for Komodos after a big meal. Their digestive system makes a lot of noise when it's working hard. Think of it like purring, but much scarier sounding." "Purring? Like a contented small animal?" Veltara looked at the massive predator again. He did seem relaxed, despite the threatening sounds. "But surely this level of vocalization indicates distress?" she asked. Young-Soo shook his head. "Not really. Komodos are actually pretty vocal when they're comfortable. The growling means his stomach is working properly and he feels safe enough to make noise." This was completely different from what Veltara expected. In her experience, predators were quiet when content and loud when angry or hunting. "He feels safe?" she repeated. "Oh yes," Sujin said. "This is his home. We're his family. Why wouldn't he feel safe?" Veltara's translator must be malfunctioning. These humans were talking about a Class 7 predator like it was a member of their family, like it belonged here among their children and their daily activities. "You consider this dragon to be family?" she asked carefully. "Of course," Dae-ho said. "He's lived with us for 5 years. He knows our routines, he protects the kids, and he's part of everything we do." "Protects the kids?" Veltara looked at Tai Min, who was calmly reading while sitting just a few meters from the dragon. The boy showed no fear at all. "Has he ever hurt anyone?" she asked. The entire family looked shocked at the question. "Hurt someone? Buster?" Sujin laughed. "Never. He's the gentlest creature you could imagine. He's more likely to lick someone to death than bite them." As if to prove her point, Buster stretched his massive head toward Dae-ho. The man leaned down, and the dragon's forked tongue flicked out to touch his cheek. It was clearly an affectionate gesture. Veltara felt dizzy. Everything she knew about predator behavior was being challenged. This creature should be contained, controlled, and kept far from civilians. Instead, it was living in their recreation room and giving kisses. "I think I need to run more tests," she said weakly. "Take all the time you need," Dae-ho said. "We just want to make sure our boy is okay." Their boy. A 3-meter killing machine was their boy. Veltara was beginning to realize that this wasn't just a medical call. It was an introduction to something completely new. Humans who had somehow turned apex predators into beloved family members, and the most terrifying part was that it seemed to be working. Veltara forced herself to move closer to the dragon. Every step felt dangerous, but she was a professional. Her scanner needed better readings, and that meant getting within arm's reach of the massive predator. Buster watched her approach with those yellow eyes. The growling never stopped, a constant rumble that made her shell vibrate. When she was just 2 meters away, she could see every detail of his scales, every sharp tooth, every powerful muscle. "You're doing great," Dae-ho encouraged. "He can sense that you're nervous, but he won't hurt you." The scanner in her hands beeped softly as it collected more data. Buster's body temperature was definitely higher than normal. His metabolism was working overtime. The readings showed massive activity in his digestive system, the protein he ate, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. What kind was it? Standard colony ship rations, young Sue replied. We modify them for his dietary needs. Higher protein content, some added vitamins. Nothing unusual. 3 kilograms seems like a large meal. Not for him, Sujin said. In the wild, Komodos can eat up to 80% of their body weight in one feeding. 3 kilograms is actually pretty modest for Buster. Veltara's scanner showed something interesting. The dragon's stomach acid levels were extremely high, much higher than most species she had treated. The acid was breaking down the food very efficiently, but the process was creating a lot of internal noise. I think I'm beginning to understand, she said. The sounds are coming from his digestive process. That's what I've been trying to tell you, young Sue said with a smile. Komodo digestion is very intense. All that growling is just his stomach working. As if to prove the point, Buster let out a particularly loud rumble. His sides actually moved as the sound vibrated through his body. But he looked completely relaxed, almost sleepy. The door opened again, and another human entered. This one was older, with gray hair and laugh lines around his eyes. He was carrying what looked like pictures on a data pad. How's the patient? The newcomer asked. Getting a clean bill of health, I think, Daeho replied. Inho, this is Dr. Veltara. Doctor, this is my brother Inho. Inho Park looked at Veltara with interest. A Quilaxian vet? That's wonderful. You must have a lot of experience with different species. Some, Veltara replied carefully, though I must admit, I've never treated a Komodo dragon before. They're amazing creatures, Inho said. Very intelligent, very loyal. I have a different kind of earth predator myself. He showed her the pictures on his data pad. Veltara's 4 eyes went wide. The images showed a massive furry creature with enormous claws and teeth. A human child was sitting on its back, laughing. That's Honey, Inho said proudly. She's a grizzly bear from Earth, 8 feet tall when she stands up, about 300 kilograms. Sweetest animal you could ever meet. A grizzly bear. Veltara's database classified those as even more dangerous than Komodo dragons. They were Class 8 predators, capable of destroying small vehicles. You keep a grizzly bear as a pet? She asked weakly. Pet isn't really the right word, Inho said. She's more like a daughter. We adopted her when she was a cub. She's been with our family for 12 years now. Veltara looked around the room. These humans were casually discussing keeping apex predators as family members. It was like they had no understanding of how dangerous these creatures were. How many families on this ship have predator companions? She asked. Young-Soo thought for a moment. Maybe 30%? It's pretty common in the outer colonies. Earth animals adapt well to ship life, and they're great companions. 30%. Nearly a third of the families on this ship were living with creatures that could kill them easily. And there have been no incidents? No injuries? The humans exchanged looks. Daeho scratched behind Buster's head and said, The only injuries we've had were accidents. Taemin broke his arm falling off Buster's back when he was 8. But that wasn't Buster's fault. You let your 8-year-old child ride on this dragon? Well, he wasn't this big then, Sujin said. And kids will be kids. Taemin was always climbing on things. Veltara tried to process this information. A human child had been using a Komodo dragon as a playground toy, and the parents thought it was normal childhood behavior. Her scanner beeped, indicating it had finished collecting data. According to the readings, Buster was in perfect health. His vital signs were strong, his body temperature was normal for post-feeding, and his brain activity showed he was completely calm. The only unusual thing was the volume of his digestive sounds. "Based on these readings," she said slowly, "your dragon is perfectly healthy. The growling is just the sound of normal digestion. His stomach is working very hard to process the large meal." "So, nothing to worry about?" Daeho asked. "Medically, no. This appears to be normal behavior." The family looked relieved. Buster, as if sensing the good news, stretched his massive body and yawned. The yawn showed every single one of his sharp teeth, but the humans just smiled at him. "Thank you, Doctor," Sujin said. "We were so worried. He's never been this vocal before." "Perhaps he's just getting older and more comfortable expressing himself," Young-Soo suggested. "Animals often become more vocal as they age and feel more secure in their environment." Veltara watched as Taemin got up from his chair and walked over to the dragon. The teenager actually lay down next to Buster's massive head and used it as a pillow while he continued reading. "Isn't he worried about the teeth?" she asked. "Why would he be?" Daeho replied. "Buster's been part of his life since he was 10 years old. They grew up together." The dragon's growling had gotten quieter now, more of a gentle rumble than a threatening sound. With Taemin's head resting against him, Buster looked almost protective. "I have to ask," Veltara said, "how do you manage the risks? These are dangerous predators." "Are they?" Inho asked. "Dangerous to who?" To anyone. "They're apex predators. They hunt and kill." "In the wild, yes," Young-Soo said, "but that's not their only nature. They're also social creatures who form strong bonds. When they're raised in a loving environment, that becomes their primary behavior." "You think love changes their nature?" "I think love reveals their true nature," Daeho said simply. "Buster could hurt us if he wanted to. He's big enough and strong enough. But why would he want to? We feed him, we keep him warm, we spend time with him. We're his pack." Pack. Veltara had heard the term before. Some species formed social groups where members protected each other, but she had never heard of cross-species packs. "So he sees you as his family?" "And we see him as ours," Sujin said. "It's that simple." It wasn't simple at all to Veltara. It was the most complex and confusing thing she had ever encountered. These humans had somehow convinced deadly predators to love them instead of eating them, and the most amazing part was that it seemed to work perfectly. As she watched, Buster's eyes began to close. His growling became softer and slower. Within minutes, the massive predator was asleep with a human teenager using his head as a pillow. It was the most peaceful and terrifying sight Veltara had ever seen. As Buster settled into sleep, his growling became quieter and quieter. Finally, the threatening sounds stopped completely. The dragon's breathing became deep and regular, and his massive body relaxed completely. Taemin continued using the dragon's head as a pillow, reading his study materials peacefully. Veltara finished packing her medical scanner. All her tests showed the same thing. Buster was perfectly healthy. The emergency call had been about nothing more than a concerned pet owner wanting to make sure his companion was comfortable. "So the diagnosis is normal digestion?" Daeho asked. "Yes," Veltara replied. "The sounds were just his stomach processing food. Very active digestion creates those rumbling noises." "Well, that's a relief," Sujin said. "We were worried he might be sick." A new person entered the recreation room. This was a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She moved quietly, probably trying not to disturb the sleeping dragon. "How's our boy doing?" she whispered. "He's fine," Daeho whispered back. "Just loud digestion." "He won. This is Dr. Veltara. She's the vet who came to check on Buster. Hewan Lee looked at Veltara with interest. You're Quillaxian, aren't you? I'm the cultural liaison for this ship. I specialize in interspecies communication. Cultural liaison? Veltara asked. I help different species understand each other, Hewan explained. I noticed you seem surprised by our relationship with Buster. That was putting it mildly. Veltara was shocked, confused, and completely baffled by everything she had seen. In my experience, Veltara said carefully, predators and prey species don't usually form social bonds. Ah, Hewan said with understanding. You see this as a predator-prey relationship. That's not how humans view it at all. How do humans view it? Hewan sat down in a chair near the sleeping dragon. We see it as family. Buster isn't a predator to us. He's a beloved member of our household who happens to be large and have teeth. But he could kill any of you in seconds. So could a human, Hewan pointed out. Humans are quite dangerous when they want to be, but we don't assume all humans are threats, just because they have the ability to harm others. This was a perspective Veltara had never considered. Most species she knew avoided anything that could hurt them. Humans seemed to actively seek out dangerous companions. How long have humans been doing this? She asked. Thousands of years, Young-Su replied. We've been forming bonds with other Earth species since before we developed space travel. Dogs, cats, horses, birds, even some predators like wolves and big cats. It's part of our nature, Hewan added. We're social creatures. We form emotional connections with almost anything, including species that evolved separately from us. Veltara watched Tae-Min sleeping peacefully against the dragon's massive head. And this doesn't frighten you? Why would it? Sujin asked. Buster has been protecting Tae-Min since he was a little boy. When Tae-Min had nightmares, Buster would sleep outside his bedroom door. When he was learning to walk, Buster would let him hold onto his back for support. The image of a toddler using a Komodo dragon as walking assistance made Veltara feel dizzy. You trust him completely, she observed. He's earned that trust, Daeho said. Every day for 5 years he's shown us that he's gentle and caring. He's never given us a reason to fear him. But what if he gets angry? What if something triggers his hunting instincts? The family exchanged looks, and In-Ho chuckled softly. Doctor, when was the last time you got angry at a family member you love? Well, sometimes my work colleagues annoy me. But you want to hurt them? Do you want to attack them? Of course not. That's how Buster feels about us. We might annoy him sometimes, but we're his family. He wants to protect us, not hurt us. This concept was revolutionary to Veltara. The idea that emotional bonds could override survival instincts seemed impossible, yet she was seeing it happen right in front of her. The door opened again, and a man in a security uniform entered. He moved quietly and nodded to the family. Everything okay in here? He whispered. I heard there was a medical emergency. All good, Dong-Yun, Daeho replied quietly. Just Buster being loud after lunch. Dong-Hyun Kim looked at the sleeping dragon with affection. Good old Buster. He scared some of the newer families when he first started making those sounds. They thought we were under attack. Under attack? Veltara asked. Well, he is pretty intimidating when he gets vocal, Dong-Hyun admitted, but anyone who's lived here for a while knows he's just a big softy. A security officer calling a Class 7 predator a big softy was perhaps the strangest thing Veltara had heard all day. I suppose you have protocols for handling him if something Goes wrong? She asked. Dong Hyun looked confused. Handling him? Like what? If he becomes aggressive, if he attacks someone. Why would he attack someone? Dong Hyun asked. He's never shown any aggressive behavior. Even when he was younger and more playful, he was always gentle. But surely you have emergency plans. Our emergency plan is to make sure he's happy. And healthy, Soo-jin said. Happy dragons don't attack people. Veltara realized that these humans had no backup plan because they didn't think they needed one. They trusted their predator companion completely. Let me ask you something, Doctor, Hyawan said gently. In your medical practice, do you treat patients differently based on species? Well, yes. Different species have different needs, different behaviors. But do you care about all your patients equally? Of course. I want them all to be healthy and comfortable. That's exactly how we feel about Buster. We don't see him as a different, dangerous species. We see him as someone we care about who needs love and attention just like any family member. Veltara looked around the room. These humans had created something she had never encountered in all her years as a veterinarian, a truly interspecies family. Not just humans keeping an animal, but different species genuinely caring for each other. I think I'm beginning to understand, she said slowly. Understanding what? Daeho asked. How you've managed to live safely with apex predators. You haven't conquered them or controlled them. You've loved them. Exactly, Hee-won said with a smile. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. It can cross any barrier, including species. As if to prove the point, Buster opened one sleepy yellow eye and looked at Veltara. But this time, she didn't see a predator's gaze. She saw the gentle, content look of a creature surrounded by family. It was still the most dangerous animal she had ever been near. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid. Veltara sat in a chair near the sleeping dragon, trying to process everything she had learned. Her medical scanner was packed away, her emergency was solved, but her understanding of the universe had completely changed. Buster was sleeping peacefully now, his massive chest rising and falling slowly. Taemin had moved to a more comfortable position, but was still using the dragon's front leg as an armrest while he studied. The sight no longer terrified Veltara. Instead, it fascinated her. I have a question, she said quietly, so as not to wake Buster. How did you know this would work? Know what would work? Daeho asked. Living with apex predators? Making them part of your families? How did you know they wouldn't hurt you? Soo-jin smiled. We didn't know. Not for certain. But we believed it was possible. That's incredibly dangerous thinking. Is it? Young-soo asked. Think about it from Buster's perspective. When Daeho found him, he was just a baby, alone and scared. Daeho could have left him to die. Instead, he brought him home, fed him, kept him warm, and gave him a family. From Buster's point of view, Hee-won added, humans aren't prey or predators. We're the creatures who saved his life and gave him everything he needed to be happy. Veltara considered this. So he sees you as protectors, not food? More than that, Daeho said. He sees us as his pack, his tribe, the creatures he belongs with. This was a completely different way of thinking about interspecies relationships. Most of the galaxy viewed different species as separate, potentially dangerous entities. Humans seem to view them as potential family members. Do all human families do this? Veltara asked. Not all, Inho replied. Some prefer smaller, gentler companions. but it's common enough. Humans have always lived alongside other species. The door opened one more time, and Jae-Sung Park entered. He was carrying a data pad and looked official, probably someone in administration. "Sorry to interrupt," he whispered. "I just wanted to check that everything was resolved with our medical emergency." "All resolved," Dae-ho assured him. "Buster's just fine." Jae-Sung looked at Veltara with interest. "You're the veterinarian. Thank you for coming so quickly. We take the health of all our family members very seriously, even the non-human ones." "Family members," Veltara repeated. "You really mean that, don't you?" "Of course," Jae-Sung said. "Buster is registered as a dependent on Dae-ho's family records. He has his own medical file, his own living space allowance, even his own entertainment budget." "Entertainment budget?" "He likes movies," Taemin said sleepily from his position near the dragon, "especially ones with lots of action. He gets excited during fight scenes. A Komodo dragon who watched movies and got excited during action scenes." Veltara wondered if her translator was still working properly. "I'm curious, Doctor," Jae-Sung said. "What's your professional opinion of our arrangement here?" Veltara thought carefully before answering. "Medically, Buster is in perfect health. He shows no signs of stress, aggression, or unhappiness. His behavior indicates he feels safe and content. And personally?" "Personally." Veltara paused. "I think you've achieved something remarkable. You've created genuine interspecies bonds based on mutual care and respect." "Is that unusual in the galaxy?" Sujin asked. "Very unusual. Most species keep to themselves. They might trade or communicate, but actual emotional relationships? That's almost unheard of." "That seems sad," Haiwan said. "Think of everything they're missing." Veltara looked around the room again. Despite everything her instincts told her, this was clearly a loving family. They included a member who happened to be a giant predator. But that didn't make their bonds any less real. "Can I ask you one more thing?" she said. "Of course," Dae-ho replied. "What would you do if I told you that keeping Buster was dangerous, that regulations required you to give him up?" The entire family looked shocked at the suggestion. Even Taemin sat up straighter. "Give up Buster?" Sujin asked. "That's like asking us to give up Taemin." "He's our family," Dae-ho said firmly. "We'd fight any regulation that tried to separate us." "We'd leave the colony ships if we had to," In-ho added. "Find a world where we could all live together." "You'd give up your lives here for one dragon?" "He's not one dragon," Taemin said. "He's Buster. He's been part of my whole life. I can't imagine living without him." Their commitment was absolute. These humans would sacrifice their comfortable lives rather than abandon their predator family member. "I won't be recommending any such thing," Veltara assured them. "From a medical standpoint, this arrangement is working perfectly." The family relaxed, visibly. "Thank you," Dae-ho said. "That means a lot to us." Veltara began gathering her equipment. "I should write my report and let you get back to your normal day. What will you tell other medical professionals about what you've seen here?" Young-soo asked. "The truth, that humans have developed successful interspecies family structures that benefit all members involved." "Think anyone will believe you?" Hee-won asked with a grin. "Probably not at first, but the evidence is clear. This works." As Veltara prepared to leave, Buster opened his eyes and raised his massive head. He looked directly at her, and she felt a moment of old fear. But then the dragon did something unexpected. He made a soft, gentle sound, not a growl or a threat, almost like a greeting. "He's saying goodbye," Dae-ho explained. "He likes you." "He likes me?" You helped him feel better. He's grateful. A 3-meter predator was grateful to her. Veltara had treated thousands of patients, but none had ever expressed gratitude quite so clearly. "Goodbye, Buster," she said softly. The dragon's eyes closed again, and he settled back into sleep. As Veltara walked toward the door, she realized that she had learned something incredible today. Humans didn't just survive alongside dangerous creatures. They thrive because of their relationships with them. "Doctor," Deho called softly, "if you ever want to visit again, you're always welcome. Buster would probably enjoy seeing you." "I might take you up on that offer," she replied, and she meant it. She wanted to study this phenomenon more. She wanted to understand how humans had managed to weaponize love itself, turning potential enemies into devoted family members. Walking back through the ship's corridors, Veltara passed other families. Now she noticed things she had missed before. A small human child playing with what looked like a miniature wolf. An elderly woman reading while a large snake was coiled peacefully around her shoulders. A teenager teaching tricks to what appeared to be a small bear. This entire ship was full of interspecies families. By the time she reached her shuttle, Veltara had made a decision. She was going to write a comprehensive report about what she had discovered. Other medical professionals needed to know that successful interspecies relationships were not just possible, but beneficial for all involved. Her report would change how the galaxy viewed human-animal relationships. But more importantly, it might inspire other species to try forming their own cross-species bonds. As her shuttle undocked from the New Busan, Veltara looked back at the colony ship. Inside, families of different species were living together, caring for each other, and proving that love really was the most powerful force in the universe. The most dangerous predators in known space had become beloved family members, not through force or control, but through simple, honest affection. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing she had ever witnessed.